I'm so glad, Jacqueline, that you now know what I feel like watching movies with you.
I know, I'm sorry. Welcome to Robbie's solo podcast on Back to the Future.
We agreed to discuss Back to the Future because I believe it is as close to a perfect movie as I've ever seen.
Marty leads an ordinary life, but Dr. Brown is about to change all that.
Are you telling me that you built a time machine out of a DeLorean?
He's sending Marty 30 years back in time.
It worked!
He's trapped in the past,
It's gotta be a dream.
about to meet
Chocolate.
his future father.
Anything you do could have serious repercussions on future events.
Now he's got to make his mother and father fall in love, and only Dr. Brown can help him get back to the future.
This is Back to the Future, the original, and getting straight into it. Who brought...
Can we get queerly into it instead? I don't know if I'm comfortable going straight into it.
Getting queerly into it. Who brought Back to the Future, the original?
I actually don't remember how we made the decision to do this other than...
It
was
followed
like-
naturally. It
Yeah,
followed the
it's
bit
like-
naturally. We're just so committed to the bit of watching things out of order. And we kind of all just didn't even have to say it. Back to the Future is such a classic. How would you watch Back to the Future 2 without watching Back to the Future 1? So we had to do it out of order. Mm-hmm. And now here we are. That's my memory of it. But I feel like it never got really said. It was sort of just like we agreed upon it. There was it wasn't really pitched. It was just sort of like, yes, that will be.
It was the cleanest decision we ever made. It was just like, let's do this. And then we did it. And then we decided to do it.
How many times have you seen Back to the Future, the original?
Oh, I've seen this movie at least 20 times. I have seen Back to the Future on film, on VHS, on DVD, and I read the novel. Like the novel.
There is a novel? So you... wow.
Yeah. Couldn't get enough of it. It was amazing. Like Emily and I went on a date and we saw it on a rooftop.
Ooh.
Yeah. Streaming. I've seen it streaming.
In a theater, on a first date, after a Billy Joel CD.
It wasn't a date. It was just because I don't think she was not. I mean, she was a senior and I was a freshman, so I don't think
That's
she
so
was interested in me.
cute.
Yeah. I don't think she
I
was
see.
interested in me romantically, but I just thought she was the coolest. I thought she was. She really was. She was great.
That sounds fun.
She had a car. I didn't drive yet, and so she came to pick me up, and we bought. We hung out all day. We bought a Billy Joel double album together, like the greatest hits double album, and we listened to it in her car, and then we saw Back to the Future that night, and it was a packed theater. And we were like, I mean, everyone was screaming and yelling. It was one of the funnest times I've ever had at the movies.
So everybody loved it like night up. Like it was just
Oh my God.
instant
Yeah.
adoration. Cool.
Yeah, and I mean, it was like I think it was the most popular movie in America at that point, and Michael J. Fox was on Family Ties and was huge. So he was like a big TV star and a big movie star, and we just had everyone was laughing, everyone was cheering. I have this very vivid recollection of when his car went back to the future, when the lightning struck the thing and the car disappeared and Doc Brown started screaming, like everyone in the theater was screaming as well and cheering and clapping. And then
that'd be so fun. If I had a time machine, I'd go back to watch this movie.
Yeah, it was
in a
really
theater.
something. And then I saw it later that summer. I was I think it was my last year of baseball camp. Like there were 2 nights in between these 2-week sessions. And the first night we went to stock car races, and the second night we went to the movies and we saw Back to the Future, and the exact same reaction.
So cool.
It had already been out for like 2 months and it was the exact same reaction. Like it was nuts. We agreed to discuss Back to the Future because I believe it is as close to a perfect movie as I've ever seen. There is not an element that is wasted or doesn't contribute to the action and overall experience of the movie, and it is told with such inventiveness and joy that it's impossible to resist its charms. And because we are firm in our beliefs that no series should be done in the correct order, unless it's The Matrix or The Lord of the Rings.
Wait, did we decide that? Or did you just decide that?
I just decided that. It's okay. I just made that decision right now when I was typing it.
I'll say more when Cole comes back.
Yeah, okay. Crispin Glover as George McFly gives one of the greatest performances in film and movie history.
Boy, Robbie's... You've got some controversial takes in here. Welcome to Robbie's solo podcast on Back to the Future.
Did you not like Crispin Glover?
No, you're saying we, and I'm just saying some of these things have not been decided amongst the pod. There's a lot of we happening of why we decided these things.
You know what it is?
We didn't decide that we all love Crispin Glover. We didn't decide on The Matrix and The Lord of the Rings. Robbie's making unilateral we decisions.
Well, so let me talk about that, because I in order to satisfy Dad, I like take his words exactly, and like,
fair.
You know.
Mm-hmm. Do you really believe that?
I do. He's so good. It's such a nuanced performance. It could have been,
true.
I feel like it could have been just a caricature, but a lot of what he does makes sense. Like, the progression of his character makes a lot of sense in terms of him starting as one thing and ending as something else. There's like a lot of vulnerability to his his lack of confidence, but it doesn't really come in until you see him as a young man and sort of understand like what he's dealing with. And the moment where he actually chooses to save Lorraine from Biff is actually
beautiful story arc.
And also, Cole might appreciate this. I don't know how much I believe it, but it's like an existential moment. It's like, I am this person and I am so afraid, but I do know that I have to do this. I have to act in this way, even though I know I'm going to get my ass kicked. And it's all over him. In the performance he gives, everything sort of leads to that moment is shown in his face and his body and his demeanor. And it's just, I mean, it's one of the great things about this movie are the performances. And I feel like his is truly like above and beyond.
Is it Michael Caine? It reminded me a lot of Muppet Christmas Carol.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And it could just be like over the top or like goofy or like a lot of physical comedy or a caricature or just like really goofy, but everyone's actually pretty grounded in their performances and like everybody's taking everything really seriously and they're making a really good film, but it happens to be funny and zany and madcap. And so it just reminded me of like Michael Caine in a Muppet Christmas Carol. Right,
taking everything, yeah. And what's really great too is like Biff at the beginning of the movie when he's older is a little bit like George McFly is, but young Biff is terrifying. Mm-hmm. Young Biff is so scary. Like, he's so strong, he's so powerful, he's so mean. Those actors really took those performances seriously and gave their all to them. But there's something about Crispin Glover that was just so above and beyond. Cole, do you have anything to add to like just to go backwards as to why we agreed to do this, or is there anything you wanted to add?
Lord of the Rings, I would love to do out of order, but I'd be scared that J.R.R. Tolkien's ghost would strangle me in my sleep. But by suggesting watching or not watching The Matrix is in not order.
Yeah, I do not agree to that.
No, nobody.
The Matrix is the matricize, the matricy shall be watched out of order.
Yes.
Robert. Cole, do you think it's an amazing performance by Crispin Glover?
In the context of the times, I think it's a fantastic performance. Or it helped comedy start to become comedy as a thing with a capital C, in that he gave a very serious Michael Caine-esque performance in something that could have been zany to the point of like, I can't deal with this. Mm-hmm. And also, in researching this, I found out, for me, this is a find out thing. This is probably obvious, but Eric Stoltz was originally cast as Marty McFly, and they've shot for like 6 weeks or something, and then just
Cut him. Cut the lead out of the film for Michael J. Fox.
Yeah, it wasn't working.
And they changed out Jennifer's too to be for better chemistry with Michael J. Fox, and because of how timing worked out, and it had been 6 weeks later, the like original actress was available again, and so yeah, like both the Jennifer and Marty McFly just recast after 6 weeks.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's great. Yeah, there's a documentary on Netflix called Back in Time that shows some of the original footage, and I think the director is discussing how difficult a decision that was, especially because they liked Eric Stoltz so much as an actor and as a person, but also that the film, they just felt the film was not going to work at all, and so they had to go to the producers and say, I want to recast it, and I want to reshoot everything. And I think they're talking about Steven Spielberg, because and Steven Spielberg was like, okay.
He wanted Michael J. Fox originally, so he was like, great. I told you so. I think or at least one of the producers, I think, had already wanted Michael J. Fox anyway.
Okay.
But what an expensive choice. And also a very confident choice. Like, to be like, it's not the screenplay. It's the lead actor. Like, what is not working is not my directing. It's not, And I've seen some of that footage, and I also love Eric Stoltz as an actor. And he seems like he's a lovely human in person too, but I can't, it's flat.
Yeah, Eric Stoltz at many times in my life is used a lot like My Dinner with Andre as, if we need like an actor's actor, who are you out there trying to be? Eric Stoltz?
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, he's incredibly cerebral.
Yes.
I feel like he would have been approaching it as like, oh, this is a time travel movie, time travel science fiction.
I think he kind of was. Mm-hmm. It didn't have quite the like levity and joy.
Is it true that you had the Michael J. Fox role in Back to the Future?
Yes, it is.
What happened?
What happened was the director fired me.
Why?
He didn't like my work.
So they were well into the filming, or right at the start?
We were pretty far into filming, yes. He was very nice about, well, as nice as you can be when you're firing someone, but...
What did you know going in, or what should somebody know going into Back to the Future, the original?
Classic film. That's it. Like, I didn't even remember. I remembered so little. I didn't even know that Doc Brown dies. Quote, spoiler. Doc Brown gets shot at the top, and that that Marty McFly goes back by himself and like meets Doc Brown of 1955. Like, I didn't even remember that. I thought they went together. Truly, the whole movie was like brand new to me.
I was 100% certain that I had seen this 100 times on like cable television, and that I would have it memorized. And my game from the start of it was, how quickly am I going to have that like flash of a memory of, and we're off, I'm going to know every scene and start quoting along with it. But my whole thing for like 2 hours was, I have never seen this movie.
Same. I've seen it once.
Really?
I know I'd seen it, but I thought I had seen it 100 times, and I legitimately kept being like, I have no memory.
Seriously?
Yeah. And Marvel Guy was literally quoting it next to me. Like he like knew the like the body movements. He knew the tone. Like he was like every second he knew. And he'd say his favorite lines before they happened. And I was like, the whole thing was brand new. Like, I literally was like, is this plot point going to come back up? Because I don't remember anything about plutonium being stolen. That seems like kind of a big thing to gloss over. I'm going to make a note of that and bring it up on the pod as a story point. And he was like, yeah, it comes back. And literally like 15 seconds later, like, it comes back.
I'm so glad, Jacqueline, that you now know what I feel like watching movies with you.
I know, I'm sorry. I actually didn't mind it. I found it, endearing. And I think that's just me protecting myself from myself, but it was really endearing. So there, Cole. Felt like I'd come out of an amnesia coma. It was like somebody had erased my childhood. I feel better, Cole, hearing that of you.
Right.
I've talked to people as if I had. I've had a lot of conversations.
Same. I've talked to a lot of people like I have. I was like, it's one of my favorite movies. I've seen it so many times. I'd at least seen it once.
Yeah. Oh, I've been in rooms with people who are writing for Back to the Future, the musical, and been in conversations. Yep. I know exactly what's going on. Yeah.
I also recently talked about watching it on Broadway and like talking about how close to the movie it was. And I don't believe that I saw it on Broadway either. Like, I think I've just made up an entirely giant lie, and like not on purpose, not like in trying to be cool. Like when I was like, I watched Pulp Fiction. No, like I read an Infinite Jest. No, like I like legitimately like created a false memory and had lived with it. Cole, also, did we not go see it on Broadway together? Like I have literally made up entire false memories. Like I thought we saw it together on Broadway.
The reason that you thought we saw it together on Broadway is that we went to see The Heart of Rock and Roll together on Broadway. And The Heart of Rock and Roll...
Did we?
Yes.
Oh, I have no memory of that. So you're right. I've replaced it with Back to the Future. We saw Huey Lewis, The Heart of Rock and Roll together. I wonder if now I want to see The Heart of Rock and Roll again and be like, oh, I thought this was Back to the Future. I've created a completely false history for myself. I trust nothing. I trust no one now. I don't even trust my own fucking memories.
That is fascinating.
It's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. I was with Marvel Guy. Like I was waiting for my favorite lines and favorite and favorite scenes, but I was also blown away by the detail. Like I was like, oh my God, I don't remember these things going on in the background. And I don't remember driving by this one place in the present. And then after the beginning scene, he's grabbing onto the trucks and riding on a skateboard, and he's transferring from one to another. And then he passes an aerobics class, and he says hi to everyone. That's the diner from 1955. Oh. And there were all these things that I was like, dang, cool. Oh my God, like that is so, someone took the time to like really think this out. Cole, when were you in or when were you out of the movie? Did you like it, having never seen it before? I mean, what did you think?
I was out until we met Doc and saw Doc and Marty together. Then I was like big time in. Prior to seeing those two together, I was like, this is just an 80s movie.
Interesting.
But then when I felt them together, I was thinking, well, this is magical.
Same.
And I could feel how long the two had known each other, because it feels like they knew each other forever. And I wanted to ask you is there an obvious answer to when did Doc and Marty McFly actually meet in their world?
They met in, how do I explain this?
Their meeting story is meeting in 1955.
They had never met until they did meet.
In 1955. It starts to break your brain if you think about it too hard, but they had met in 1955 and he promised he'd come find him in 1985 so they could talk about it.
Let me ask this a different way. How did Doc and Marty McFly become friends?
Because he went to 1955 and said, yo, Doc, you invent this thing and I now need your help. Like, it'll break your brain if you think about it, but that's how they met.
I am willing to concede that what you're saying is the absolute truth, and I just can't wrap my head around it yet.
Let me ask it one more way.
They met in 1955.
Jacqueline, when were you in or out?
I was in pretty much right away. I think in part because my memory was that I love this movie and I'd seen it 100 times. But I was in from hearing the clocks tick before we even saw the shot come up. Like I liked the I don't always like that. I don't always like hearing the sounds before the scene, but I really liked it this time. And then I love like a madcap genius inventor doing a, little contraption that's going to like make stuff and feed a dog. So I was pretty in right away. And then surprised, constantly surprised by this film I'd apparently barely ever seen.
Let's pretend there are people listening, especially in the future, who have not seen Back to the Future, the original. Could we each give 2 lines of what it's about, even though it seems so obvious to us?
A son goes back in time to his parents' high school days and nearly erases his future.
Yes. Yeah, that's right.
The son's own accident creates the engine for the story.
Like the son accidentally ending up in this time machine being the accident. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because there's so many ways to do like a time travel movie. And so for the mistake to be the thing that then gets you there is it's a really unique plot. It's a really unique like perspective on a time travel film.
Yeah.
Like I really was so surprised when Marty McFly went by himself. Because it just in my mind was like, yeah, Doc Brown invented this time machine and like takes him with him and they go on an adventure. Like it really, I found that to be very surprised. I was very surprised, which I don't surprise easy. But I was like, holy, that's really interesting. And initially I was like, oh, how disappointing because they have such good chemistry. So why would you separate them so early in the film? And then it was like, oh my gosh, he's going to meet 1955 Doc. Like, that's so fun.
Yeah. Oh, I just got what you were talking about, Jacqueline. You're right. The new timeline Doc has met Marty for the first time in 1955, so knows it. I see what you're talking about now. I see what you're talking about. Yeah. Okay. That's cool. That's really great.
Bob Gale interview, take 1.
Cool. I'm from a suburb of St. Louis, Missouri, called University City. It was also where my father grew up. I was visiting my folks in the summer of 1980, and digging around in my parents' basement, I found my father's high school yearbook. So I looked at this picture of my dad, and he's one of those political types, the type in high school. I said, well, geez, was my dad one of those kind of guys?
Yeah.
If I'd have gone to high school with my dad, would I have been friends with him? And I thought, no, I probably wouldn't. But there's a good idea for a movie. What if you go to high school with your dad?
So it connects with this very human thing that everybody has. It doesn't matter when you were born, you come to the realization that your parents were once kids and nobody had ever really made a movie about it.
That's my whole thesis about the film is there's not an element that is wasted.
Yeah.
It's like the epitome of a Chekhov's gun, right? Like it's like everything that appears is like used again and comes back and like ties back to a plot. And then and like if this happens, that happens. And
is there one thing that sticks out to you as like an example of all the things you just said?
I mean, from like the opening shot, you're seeing first you're hearing clocks before you even see anything. So you're already hearing clocks. But then the clocks are also just part of like an invention by Doc. So you're already getting into this like mad genius but like it's through clocks. And then it turns out that it's also like ostensibly making coffee, turning on the news and feeding the dog. But then on one of the clocks, there's like a cartoon hanging off of one of the hands of the clock. And so you're already like foreshadowing the end. Then it's like you're hearing the radio and the radio immediately tells you it's October 1985. Then like you go to the news and the news is talking about plutonium.
Yes, the plutonium that was stolen from the university. Yeah.
And then you go and now you have like this. Now it's like this invention. So you're clearly someplace that's like messy and like in like a mad genius somewhere, or like somewhere you already are getting that sense, but you haven't seen him, you haven't met him, you know nothing. And then you get this like the final kind of thing about this little, they're called something, but it's like the mouse trap or the
Rube Goldberg machine. The Rube Goldberg contraption. Yeah.
It leads to feeding a dog. And then you don't see a dog, but you see like so much dog food that you realize the dog has not been around for a while.
Right.
And like there's no coffee pot, so ostensibly we're making coffee, but there's like the coffee pot is empty.
I loved the burnt toast coming up.
Yes, that was it.
Like,
it was the burnt toast.
And like wondering like how many times has that toast gone up and down and
that was it.
Set and reset.
Then you just see a skateboard, but you don't meet Marty McFly yet. We've now heard that plutonium is missing, and then the skateboard goes past plutonium.
Yes.
And then he blows out the speaker, the amp, right? He's like playing guitar and playing. So like you've seen the whole movie. So, like nuggets of the entire movie are all there in the very opening scene before you've even seen a single face.
And then the whole scene is capped after with this phone call, and then all the clocks go off at once. All the clocks go off at once. And then Marty McFly's like, I'm late for school. And then the whole movie begins, like, beautiful.
Executive producer Steven Spielberg and director Robert Zemeckis.
I hope they don't think it's a movie about clocks. It'll be a movie about time.
Well, what was the last clock movie that made a profit? I don't know. Well, then wind your clocks and come with me into the fourth dimension.
And what I like about that toast thing is you don't really know what's going on. Yeah, like, is it a bad invention? Like, why is it burnt? Like, is it the invention like toasts, but it doesn't toast well? But then by the time you get to the dog food and you realize like there's no dog eating this food, it just keeps doing this. You kind of can then go back in your head and be like, oh, that's the same toast toasting itself over and over
again. Yeah, yeah.
And speaking of how everything is used, is she writes "I love you" on the back of the Save the Clock tower, and then he tucks it in his pocket and carries it with him into the past. And then it comes back out right before when he's like, how would I ever get that many kilometers? Should have written
gigawatts.
Down. Thank you.
Gigawatts. Yeah, 1.21 gigawatts.
I was like, that would take a bolt of lightning. How would we ever predict the future? And then he like the little like, look at my girlfriend said I love you. And then it's like Save the Clock Tower because on this date at this time, like everything is getting used. It's like that came. Mm-hmm. It's really it's very efficient writing, but without it feeling too on the nose.
Yeah.
A little, but
yeah, but it didn't like it felt like it had enough behind it. Like I was thinking about Back to the Future 2 and how expositional that sounded.
The idea that we were going to do another one was not even in our consciousness. The heroes get on their horse and ride off into the sunset for another adventure. That's a classic heroic ending for any movie, and that's what we had in mind. They get into the DeLorean and they go off to have another adventure. As Bob Zemeckis has stated many times, if we knew we were going to do part 2, we would have never put Jennifer in the car.
This had some of that, but it was this nice balance between we're explaining what's happening, but also like you and I are in a scene together and I feel this way and you are trying to make me feel better. Or
it felt very real. Like it was like, you know, we'd see information, we'd hear information from like, again, the radio or the news, or like there's a lot of ways that they gave information, which like they use the medium, the movie making medium. So you've got all of these different like, you know, senses you can tap into. And so I felt like the exposition doesn't feel nearly as heavy because you're able to like get a lot of detail from a lot of different senses. So you can see it, you can read it, you can hear it. Sometimes characters say it, sometimes it's like directly said, but.
Among the people that we showed it to was Steven Spielberg.
And I read it, and it was a very unusual story. And yet it was based on a lot of old-fashioned principles. It was about the generation gap, and it was about the major disconnect between our generation and our own parents' generation.
What do you mean exactly by a generous comedic performance?
He's so good at his timing that he also helps everyone around him shine. It would be very easy for Doc to be like the funny one and Michael J to be the straight guy. I can't explain it as much as I can feel it, of like that difference between sort of like stand-up comedians are really good at I get the joke, my joke, and I am very funny. And you can have funny people around you, but it's sort of like the timing hits in a way that it is my joke and my punchline, and I am the funny center. And that's a huge skill, an important skill. And I don't know that Christopher Lloyd was an improviser, but he has an improviser-ness about him where he's sort of volleying it. And so there's sort of room for everyone to be funny. And like the timing is such that it's generous. He's not just such a big character that he takes over. Michael J. is very much an equal, charismatic, funny part of this film. And that is a testament to Michael J. Fox's talents and charisma. But I think it is also the generosity of Christopher Lloyd in his comedic timing and his acting skills as well.
This is the answer.
There's no jokes. We tell everybody, Bob tells, you're playing this completely seriously. And you watch Chris Lloyd's performance, he's taking it totally seriously. He believes everything that he's doing.
I mean, I grew up around New York City. When I moved out here, I was resolved not to do a sitcom. I have to be frank, I didn't really respect them. I thought, I was a theater person, and I may be selling out to go to Hollywood, but I'm not going to sell that far out.
There's a scene in the movie where Lorraine tracks Marty McFly down in the barn where the DeLorean's being kept, and Marty McFly is trying to get his dad to date Lorraine, but Lorraine tracks him down because Lorraine wants Marty to take her to the dance and not George. And the scene starts with Doc Brown and Marty just talking and seeing if George has asked Lorraine out, and then there's a knock on the door, and Doc Brown goes to the door and says, "Oh my God, it's your mom."
It's your mom. She's tracked you down. Quick, let's cover the timing.
And then he opens the door, and then she goes in, and it's just on him for a moment. The camera's just on Doc Brown for a moment, and he's just in the background watching it happening. But he's also sort of standing behind as part of the scene and responding to it like we would. Mm-hmm. And so he sort of let the comedy and the humor and the action unfold in front of him, and that's an act of generosity, because it's not like he's in the background stealing attention.
He's not pulling focus, like making he's not making it about him.
Yeah, he's supporting it, and then in the end, he's leaning on the car, and Marty is leaning on him, and it's just such like it's a tender moment between those two, but it's also like he sort of understands the stakes of the scene and where the movie needs to go next.
Marty? Lorraine, how did you know I was here?
I followed you.
Oh, this is my Doc. My uncle, Doc Brown.
Hi.
I have a question for the two of you about, especially near the end, the way the editing goes. The first scene is Marty and Lorraine are in the car, the band is playing, and George is inside dancing. And the way that scene plays out, like you keep cutting between all of these different scenes and all of these different locations. And I noticed that the cutting itself, it builds suspense. So George is supposed to come out, and Marty and Lorraine are talking in the car, and like there's the cigarettes and there's the alcohol, and then there's the kissing, and there's like kissing my brother, and George is supposed to come out, but instead Biff comes out, and then Marty is pulled away, put into a car. George comes out while Biff is attacking Lorraine, and all these things are happening. And in this movie, it builds so successfully. Do you know, like, how does that work? Because it happens significantly twice in this movie, and the second part is after the dance, and the wire on the clock tower gets disconnected as Marty's supposed to be getting in the car and getting to his place. And so it's Marty in his car, Doc at the clock tower trying to put these things together. The car doesn't start. Doc is trying to put these together, but they don't fit, so he has to figure out another way. And it's just this constant cutting back and forth. So I
have an answer.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
I think, Cole, I'd be curious to hear if you totally reject this thesis or what I'm about to answer, but I think it happens predominantly in the storyboards. So I actually think it's like very planned out, storyboarded, then shot, and then you have like a storyboard that then goes to the edit. Like, I do think it's very well edited, and I don't want to take away from the editor's skill, because I think it's very well edited, but I think it actually happens in the storyboard.
Okay.
I think it's storyboarded. So then you can play with that, move it around, think through it, build the suspense on your storyboard, then shoot exactly what you need, and then take that to your editor.
Okay. And when the editor works with it, then are they playing with the rhythm of it and yeah, okay.
And I do think I love editing, and I find editing to be very intuitive and extremely artistic, and has like a rhythm and a sense. So I do think it happens in storyboarding. Not always. I think not everybody's a great storyboarder, but I think this felt very storyboarded to me and thought through. But I believe there's a huge amount of intuitiveness and like timing, rhythm that movies live or die on. And so that is like why David Lynch is a genius. But I also think like Mary Sweeney is what makes those films perfect or like tense or uncomfortable. I think you could storyboard all day, but if you still just don't have that intuitive sense or that just like feeling, it would still fail. Editors are so important to films.
Yeah, it seems like it.
From hearing you talk about the storyboards and seeing some of the actual storyboards now, I feel like they could have shot exactly what's there on the storyboards, taken it to the edit and just matched it up, and might not even have shot any extra.
And the movie feels very thought through. You do. That's like, just like we said, like the rules of the world are extremely clear. They like stay within the boundaries. Everything ties back to each other. If this, then that, if this changes, then that happens. And so it does feel, that's why it was like, I think it all happens in a storyboard, because it just felt so well thought through. Like there's ways to make magic and like come to surprises in filmmaking, but this just has such a clear through line, and so clearly so much thought was put into it for it to fit together in like the jigsaw that it fits into.
Over the years, I've heard people actually call back to Avengers Endgame. I don't know, have either of you seen it? The plot point is trying to undo the effects of Thanos' snap. They figure out a way to travel through time. And in order to test it, they have this Pym particle, and they have a suit, and they have 2 times to try it. But when they're talking about going back to the future, they're talking about how time works. And there's a big component in the movies about how if you mess with the past, then you mess with the future. But the reality is if you go back in time, that past now becomes the future. And it's this whole thing. And I was thinking about that as I was watching it this time. And I think what's so impressive about this movie is it really sets out the parameters of how it wants time to work to tell its story. And so the reality of time travel makes no difference. Any concept you have about how time works would just totally ruin the movie. It would totally take you out of it.
Which is why that whole when do they meet Doc kind of just never...
Yeah,
because that's doing that exact thing of like, but then if, and then this, and then that. And so they just keep it really simple of like, just here's what we're working with, and here's how we do it, and we're here, we're there, and that's that, which is quite enjoyable.
Yeah, and these are the rules, and these are the consequences. Like, the rules are, if you go back in time, you don't meet your past self. You don't talk to anyone who you knew, because it can change. And then once you do, there's a picture where your family starts disappearing, and those are the consequences. And so every action you take is to undo the picture, the people in the picture disappearing. And those are the rules. And if you can accept those rules, you're going to really enjoy yourself. And if you can't, you're not going to have a good time at all. And that was like, this last time that really struck home with me.
I was struck by that too. I really was, like how simple it was, and how like it not simple, but felt simple, and very boundaried, and very exactly like you said. These are the rules, and if we accept these, we're in. And they're very clearly articulated,
Yeah, and And the people who made the movie really adhered to those rules as well and had a great time with it. Like, just like following those simple rules kind of, they were like, oh, okay, well, we can do this and we can have these people act this way and we can write these lines and then we can shoot these scenes. And it was magical for me.
And because they so clearly like put the boundaries of the world and create the world and the rules, you don't spend time filling in blanks.
No, right.
So it's like a really nice container of like, this is what we're working with. And so, yeah, accept this. And that I think that helps keep it so simple as you're not sitting there like, but you're not poking it. At least I wasn't poking a ton of holes in anything.
Yeah, no.
It was like, I accept those rules. I got the outline of how the world works. And then I was given a world that was like that. And I was like, okay.
Yeah. And even during the times where my mind was like, wait a minute, there was something else that appeared that I was like, oh, look, a beautiful butterfly.
Great.
If we can go back in time, can we also change the shape of things to come once we get there? Astronomer Carl Sagan recently showed us just how hard the answer is to come by on his TV series, Cosmos.
We travel into the future, although slowly, all the time. But what about the past? Could we journey into yesterday? Many physicists think that this is fundamentally impossible, that there is no way we could build a device which would carry us backwards into time. Some say that even if we were to build such a device, it wouldn't do us much good, that we couldn't significantly affect the past. For example, suppose you traveled into the past and somehow or other prevented your own parents from meeting. Why, then you would probably never have been born.
I've read people saying that Carl Sagan, the great Cornell scientist, Carl Sagan says that Back to the Future is the most accurate depiction of theoretical time travel that he's ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's something though about the best depiction of a theoretical thing. Like, sure. Yeah. Like it's the best depiction of my made up vision of physics as well. If
a rhinoctopus were to exist, this is exactly what a rhinoctopus would look like.
Exactly. This is the best depiction of that, right? Yeah.
I love that.
Rhinoctopus.
Mein Name ist geworden. Ich habe deine Seele gesehen. Sabrina.
Have you been looking at my art, Cole?
No.
I feel like I legitimately just recently drew a rhinoctopus. That's frightening.
No, you two are like so in tune that sometimes.
I mean, I do. I hear you, Robbie.
A little too locked in.
Yeah, that's some psychic shit.
Favorite lines.
Can I give each of us a digital espresso real fast?
Woo! I feel caffeinated already.
Yeah, I've got a lot. So my favorite line of the whole movie has always been the same. It's when Marty goes back to is in the past, and he sees his Uncle Joey as a baby.
That was mine.
And he's like, "So you're my Uncle Joey? Better get used to these bars, kid."
Like after all we've seen is this like cake, and like finding out that like he's like not supposed to be out on parole and he's not out, and we just see a cake thrown down, and then we get to meet baby Joey. That's like a really funny way to meet a family member. And he's shot. He's shot in a way that like you just see like the little baby like behind the bars of the crib.
Oh, so he looks like he's in jail in the crib in the shot.
Yeah, it's very cute. Because it's already very funny if you think about like, whoa, meeting like your aunt and your uncles and stuff, and like they're all children. But then to be able to watch, and he's like, oh, you must be my Uncle Joey. Good luck, kid.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was mine. That was my favorite one too. This I thought was real dumb, so I liked it. Marty McFly has just gotten to 1955 and he walks into that diner and sits down and is like trying to order. And so the guy's like, you gonna order something, kid? He's like, oh yeah, give me a tab. Tab? I can't give you a tab unless you order something. Right. Give me a Pepsi free. You want a Pepsi, pal? You're gonna pay for it. So stupid, but great.
Are you gonna order something, kid?
Give me a tab.
Tab? I can't give you a tab unless you order something.
Right, give me a Pepsi free.
You want a Pepsi, pal? You're gonna pay for it.
It's like, it's not 1985 anymore. We don't know what a tab is. We don't know what a Pepsi free is. And then he's like, just give me something without sugar. And so he just gets a black coffee.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dumb, but great.
I like when George is walking in and he's just been told he has to ask Lorraine out. So he has to go into the diner and ask Lorraine out, and he's like, he's tucking in his thing, and he's brushing his hair, and then he goes to the bar and he goes, Lou, give me a milk. And then there's this pause and he goes, chocolate, and this chocolate milk just comes whirling to his hand. He drinks it.
Give me your milk.
Chocolate.
Chocolate. It's pretty great.
I also loved in the diner scene too, where Goldie Wilson is telling George, stand tall, boy, have some respect for yourself. Don't you know? If you let people walk over you now they'll be walking over you for the rest of your life. Look at me. You think I'm going to spend the rest of my life in this slop house? And Lou says, watch it, Goldie. And Goldie says, no, sir, I'm going to make something of myself. I'm going to go to night school, and one day I'm going to be somebody. And Marty says, that's right. He's going to be mayor. Goldie says, yeah, I'm going to be mayor.
And again, we've seen the posters of him as mayor previously, right? Like, you don't think anything of it, but you see it. And then like we get to that scene and it's used and it's there, and like everything gets used. Cole, what were you going to say? I feel like you had something.
Who the hell is John F. Kennedy?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So that's now JFK Boulevard.
There were two exchanges I liked between Marty and Doc Brown. After the time machine works for the first time, and Dr. Emmett and Doc Brown is saying, it works, I finally invent something that works, and Marty McFly just says, kind of quietly, you bet your ass it works, which was really sweet. And then the second one was after he comes back and he discovers that Doc Brown has been wearing a bulletproof vest, and he found out that the letter he wrote to Doc in 1955, Doc has typed it together. And Marty says to him, well, what about all that talk about screwing up future events, the time-space continuum? And Doc Brown says, well, I figured, what the hell? It was so sweet. It was really nice. Okay. I have one more, which is yes, I'm George McFly. I'm your density.
Lorraine, my density has popped me to you.
What?
Oh, what I meant to say was...
I mean, your destiny. I love that.
Cole, favorite lines?
Okay. Here is my favorite line. When the hell are they?
Oh, yeah. We got digital espresso, please. The appropriate question is, when the hell are they?
When the hell are they?
When the hell are they? The appropriate question is, when the hell are they? You see, Einstein has just become the world's first time traveler.
Well done. That last one you did was good. I actually understood it, and it was funny.